Hello, everybody. I want to talk about the history of psychics and presidents and American presidents or leaders actually in the world. And I'm kind of dove into this because of what the events that occurred last night on April 25th with the assassinations attempt to our president and along with, cabinet people there and basically, the carelessness of evil, because this is what that is. I always say evil walks amongst us, and that's an example. So there's a component here that we might have to look at that I can guarantee you, based on yesterday's events, predictions, psychic predictions, along with astrology predictions, what was kind of lined up as above, so below, as we say, with events, perfect storm for an event yesterday to happen. Perfect ugly choice for somebody to make those kind of events happen, to scare people and to try to harm somebody. So we're not just saying this event, but there was a lot of off events that occurred yesterday based on what was happening in the world with astrology, intuition, sense, right? I'm going to tell you probably everybody who was in that room, over 2,000 people. Prior to this event, I can probably say people had some off feelings, okay? They were listening to intuition. Maybe they didn't feel safe. Maybe like, hey, I better be cautious tonight. So I would be hard-pressed to say, out of all those people, there wasn't a heightened awareness within them intuitively, right? Because we have to trust our instincts when we have events happen or we go places. We just do. I want to go into some fascinating facts that I found today on presidents that used psychics, because remember, psychic ability and psychics have been used for eternity, right? Remember back in the day, kings, queens would say, are my crops going to grow good this year? They'd consult a psychic. Are we going to go to war with this other country? How are we going to grow economically? So what's changed? Not a darn thing. Here we are in modern society, and we're still predicting things like that for around the world, or I am. So anyways, let's just go into do this dive deep, which is going to be kind of fun and interesting. So what I found, actually, remember, we all know Ronnie Reagan, President Reagan, Nancy Reagan used Joan Quigley for her predictions on what was happening. She especially did this and consulted with her after 1981 when President Reagan was attempted assassination, right? So it was known facts, right? Whenever there was an event or something to be coordinated, that she would consult Joan, and Joan would come in and say, no, do things on this date, that date, okay? Than what we do. Okay, now we're going to Warren Harding, right? There was Florence, his wife, was often used this woman named Monica Champagny, and to consult on scheduling her events and investigate personal issues. Now we're going down the road. All right, we're going into Theodore Roosevelt. He loved astrology, right? And he would reference his chart like all the time. And like many people do, who doesn't look at their chart? Or hey, I want to get married. What's the date? Hey, I want to have a baby. When should I have a baby? Hey, I want to go into business with somebody. Is this the right person? Right? So now we go into Franklin Roosevelt. Now this is pretty fascinating. He would look at his consult psychics, mediums, actually in his presidency, especially after Pearl Harbor, because he never wanted to be surprised again on any type of an event with this country, an attack, right? Okay, what's really interesting with him, at one point he had Vice President Henry Wallace, and he was a total mystic. He was into Buddhism. He believed in my world big time, and he wasn't actually picked again to run with him, because that would have been a little dicey, actually, in the election piece, right? So that was pretty interesting. So think on that, all right? Why do you think Franklin was maybe like consulting with psychics? Because his VP was really into this and understood it and shared it. Just my observation. So now we go into Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter consulted a psychic medium named Laura Lynn because they thought they had ghosts in the house and spirits in the house. Come clear this. I just referred somebody the other day to get their house cleared because it was a home that was, built on a plantation here in Charlotte, and there's a lot of vortex activity going on there. So remember, always bless your land before you build a house. Really important to do that. So now we go into Abe Lincoln, who I love. I actually had a visitation by him one time. Happens to me. So Abe, right? So he was a true spiritualist. All right. Now he and his wife, after they lost Willie, their son, who was 11, to typhoid fever, they started consulting with mediums. All right. And they proved the validation that their little guy was on the other side. Right. And that was really important. So here we go forward. They have this belief of spiritualism and mediums and how we link and how we coordinate. What was fascinating with him, there was a woman actually who, her name is Nettie Colburn. Nettie met his wife Mary at an event. Fast forward, they go over to, she's like, I want you to talk to my husband. I'm making this really simple. I want to talk to my husband. She started consulting for him, President Lincoln and his wife. In her accounts, of what she shared was that she had shown him or told him that Spirit told her that to abolish slavery, and when you do that and to stick to this, don't cave, that if you do this, this is what you will be remembered actually in your presidency forever. Remember back then, right? What people need to understand is there were so many men being killed in the Civil War. No one got to say goodbye. No one wanted, mothers, family members, wanted to connect one more time with their loved one to make sure that they crossed over into heaven and into God, right? And to know that they were safe. Spiritualism blew out of the water in the Civil War, because people needed to know. It's just like when I do a missing persons case, or people need to know whether that person's alive or dead. So this is where spiritualism bloomed, right? And then religion came in after that, and don't do that. That's bad stuff. Don't go there, right? And people they kicked it out of the water. But spiritualism has been around forever. You can go to England and see spiritual churches everywhere. Now we go into Woodrow Wilson. So Woodrow Wilson used psychics, and he really he was really concerned about being assassinated, and especially when he was president during World War I. So he would look at his chart. He would consult psychic mediums. Is this going to am I going to be in danger, right? So even Richard Nixon used a famous psychic medium astrologer, Jean Dixon. Now, he used her also for her abilities. Now we fast forward, right? Jean Dixon predicted Kennedy being assassinated. All right, he didn't listen. All right, you need to listen. I mean, we can say things, you can be precautionary, but you need to listen. And so in our world, right, presidents have used, in every country, prime ministers have used psychic mediums for guidance. And it's okay. Like, we're just a little amped up more, you know what I mean? And if I can give something to somebody that helps them, just like when I do a reading, and everybody has the power of change. Remember that, you know what I mean? To look at something, no, this doesn't feel right. Maybe not. Okay. But if it's there, and if it's there in your what I see with things, or if it's there when I've done predictions or seen things and I just give it out, just like that's my job, okay? Because that's what I'm supposed to do. It's important to blend with it, right? So one of the fascinating things that I found actually today was about Winston Churchill, Prime Minister. He was totally intuitive. And he was given early on, things that would occur, like even in his teens, of the role he would have in his life. He would get it through dreams. He would get it through visitations. He was shown the events that would happen in the world wars ahead of him and what his role was going to be, right? Anyways, after he lost the election, after he didn't become prime minister again, he was literally painting. And now you're in the zone because you're painting, right? Anybody who's meditating, painting, you're in a zone. So spirit can kind of come in and scoop in when you're quiet. So he had a visitation from his father. And he literally visited with his father for like an hour. His dad told him things, and his father died on the date of January 24th. And in this dynamic after that, the Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, said he would die on January 24th. My hunch is his dad probably said, you're going to join me on the same date. Okay? So sure enough, what happened? He died January 24th, 1965. And this was recorded and written about in a book that he wrote it was called The Dream, but it was published in 1966. So when we look at psychic mediums and their roles and how we've assisted, right, in guiding, because that's all we do is guide, okay? Just we give it, take it, use it, right? So I would be hard pressed to say that all world leaders don't look at things. I mean, it's pretty easy. You don't have to really consult one-on-one anymore. You can just go on YouTube and see what psychic mediums are predicting about dates and events and things that occur. And I find that fascinating. I find it fascinating, really cool that we've come into that age where people can trust and you can trust, where it's more common knowledge, and thank goodness, because our intuitive gifts are what we're supposed to have, and you're supposed to use your intuitive gifts. You know, no person can be strong in business, be a healer, be a doctor, be a nurse, be a teacher, you know, be a mother, be a father, you know, use your business sense, or be in a space where, you know what, this, I don't want to go on this trip, or I don't want to go on this plane, or I don't want to, it doesn't feel right. Okay. When you say things don't feel right, or when you're given things in dream sense or what you're supposed to do, you need to listen and guide that, because that is your guide, your intuition guiding you. Just like all these past presidents ramped up their game with psychics who could guide them. It's not a wrong thing to do. All right. It's actually a very smart thing to do. So I look at, the events yesterday. Yesterday was a heavy day. I felt like prior to this, I always get, when we've had events happen, it really felt like a prior Boston bombing event. To me, it felt like a 9/11 event. I even actually, really that morning, I said lots of prayers around President Trump yesterday morning in my meditation in our country, because I felt something was going to happen. All my kids were out last night. I was sending protection around them because they were in public places. So, you know what? When you have that instinct, trust it. It's a great preparation to help you. It guides you. And it's important to see in our history of society, psychic mediums have been used forever and they've been accurate. So don't poo-poo us. Don't poo-poo us. We share our gifts in a lot of ways. So that being said, remember, it's a healthy stance to have actually in your guidance, and to trust it. And I love what I do. I love that I can share it. And when we get accuracy, we share it too. So to prove the validation of what psychic ability is, that's my whole job in this lifetime, is to prove the validation in my lifetime. So I hope that helps you. It's kind of an intriguing aspect. Everybody stay healthy, stay protected, stay grounded. But I am going to say this little prediction for this week. We are going to see a coming together based on this event. You are going to see a lot of people stop getting their underwear in a bunch, okay, with the media and different things and portraying things only one way. You're going to see a lot of the Walter Cronkite coming out of the woodwork now. You're going to see people come together. There's just wait and see. All right. So that's our healthy space that I think after this event yesterday that's going to occur. The other component that I do want to say is pay attention to the events in Iran. I do see, I keep seeing a peace agreement coming together that's going to be portrayed pretty soon in the next few weeks. So that's good news. So remember, we always say when there's a bad event happen, there's always a good event that cancels it out. So I hope that helps you today. I hope it was interesting to you as it was to me, but to share with you about all the presidents in the country of the United States, along with other prime ministers around the world who have used psychic mediums and their predictions and what's occurred and that validation. Thank you very much for listening, and everybody have a very grounded day today on April 26th.